And that's why we formed the Professional Paramedics of Johnson County. You know, my name's Clay Smith. I'm the president here in Johnson County. We know you guys had a lot of questions. We heard you. We've made these videos to hopefully answer, you know, the top 15 or so most frequently asked questions. If this doesn't cover your specific question, feel free to reach out to any of us. You can contact me specifically, or you can contact anybody on the e-board. If they can't answer it, they'll get a hold of me, and we will always give you an answer. Sounds like some people are afraid to talk about the union, and that's something they're concerned is it safe to talk about the union? It is 100% safe to talk about the union. Talking about union organizing, that is a federally protected First Amendment right. No one can tell you not to talk about the union. No one can keep you from talking about the union. What you can't do is interrupt work. So don't be in the middle of a call asking about a union. Don't be in the middle of, you know, Skills and Sim or something when work is actually happening. But if we are just, you know, having normal downtime, you can absolutely talk about the union. What gets kind of tricky for us versus other places is a lot of times you can only talk about unions on like defined breaks, meaning like your work break or your lunch break. Obviously, we don't have those, but if it's a time where you're just sitting around talking, you can absolutely talk about a union. If anyone tells you you can't, please come find me. So everyone asks, like, what is union recognition and are we recognized? And the reality is that no, we're not recognized. What recognition officially means is a contract, right? That is the official form of recognition, but that doesn't mean that's the only form of recognition. As we continue to build relationships and you know, engage with politics, like that also is a form of relationship building and recognition that isn't official, right? So officially, the county has to vote to get rid of 104, policy 104, union-free workplace, and it also would have to opt into collective bargaining with us, and we're not the only ones. There's, you know, transportation unions, there's facility unions, there's all sorts of unions, that this doesn't just affect us. This is a broader labor issue. That being said, they haven't done that, and this is the state of Kansas, so they can opt in and out as they feel. So that is something that we will have to continue to fight for, and we will continue to fight for. And once we get recognition, that's a totally different ballgame, and I'm hopeful to get there someday. So one of the biggest things that being part of the union here gets you is political advocacy. So that's me and the e-board going to local stuff, going to state level stuff, and probably eventually going to federal stuff of like advocating for you face to face with politicians, you know, really trying to change minds out here. What, you know, the normal path is, well, you would write a person, that person would talk to your elected official, blah, blah, blah. Well, this cuts out the middleman. This goes from me directly to the politicians, or from you directly to me, directly to politicians. And obviously, that is a big part of what a union does. The union is the political arm of the employee. So you might be asking yourself, how do I join this incredible union that I've heard so much about? And the way that you do that is you go to IAFF4885.org and sign up through there, or you can talk to any of us on the e-board. We're happy to sit down with you and sign you up at any moment. That being said, here is Vice President Jeremiah Brown to show you some screenshots of what our website actually looks like.
Hey guys, Vice President Jeremiah Brown here to show you how to access our website. First things first, open up your browser of choice and put in IAFF4885.org and hit enter. Once our website is loaded, go ahead and hit the register button. Once you hit the register button, you'll be brought to our registration form. Here you'll fill out your first name, last name, email, phone number, username, and password, and then hit your registration button. Once you hit the register button, it'll submit this form for administrative approval. Please contact one of the executive board members so that we can get you approved on the website as soon as possible.
So we hear you. You're asking, what do dues cost? Dues are $57.21 monthly. The way we figured that was we tied it to 1% of a paramedic base salary divided by 12. So $57.21 a month. You can pay those through payroll, or you can pay those through our website. And to give you a little bit more information on that, here is our Vice President, Jeremiah Brown.
Hey guys, Vice President Jeremiah Brown here to show you guys how to submit your dues payment on our website. Once your application has been approved, you can log into your account and you'll notice some changes to the top menu bar on our website. Now it features the tab Member Dues. Go ahead and click that. Once the page opens up, you'll notice that some of your information has already been filled in, including your name, email, and phone number. Proceed to fill out the rest of the information on the form and select your membership, either at General Member or Retired Member. Put in your card information and fill out the CAPTCHA. And leave any comments you wish for us to see, and hit submit, and your dues payment should be submitted successfully.
So you're probably curious where your money goes. Your money goes to 3 different levels. Locally, obviously we keep a portion of it, and that's what we use for local advocacy, public education, hardships, all of that stuff that comes out of our local dues. The second tier would be your state level stuff. That's about $10 a month, goes to the Kansas Council of Firefighters. And that is advocacy at the state level, KPNF, work comp, all of that stuff, some PAC fund stuff. And then about $20 a month goes to the international. That is federal level advocacy, Union Plus, bank stuff, mortgage stuff, all of that stuff, all of those benefits come out of the $20 a month. You're asking yourself, what does the international do for us? I'm just a small guy from Kansas. So the international, they are actually really helpful for us. I can see how on the surface it would seem like, they're for firefighters and their big things are PFAS and occupational cancer and all that stuff. And while yes, that's true, these are our brethren, we will support them. We're all on these fire scenes with them, taking care of them. That is inherently part of our job. That being said, when I called and I needed help, they didn't bat an eye. The international came in, they got us lawyers that we probably couldn't have afforded otherwise, people who are experts in the First Amendment, and it's just access to resources that we wouldn't otherwise have. That being said, in the beginning, I was like, is this the right place for us to affiliate? I know this is how it's always been, and we can network with them. And, I had my own, I'll say, classic frustrations with EMS versus fire that I think is more akin to 2 brothers of the same family fighting. But the reality is that they are the most in line with our views. They are the #1 representation of EMS workers in this country, and they're the ones that it makes the most sense to affiliate with. So that's what the international gets us, is access to resources that we wouldn't otherwise have locally, and I'll say guidance and political, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do any of this. I was frustrated, and I ran myself to take over because I didn't know where the union was or where it was going. And I will be the first to admit that I'm figuring this all out. The guidance that I have gotten from the international has been incredible. And at any point I can call someone and get guidance on how to handle something politically, legally, situationally. They've just really have been super helpful. And I'm not I'm gonna let perfect get in the way of good kind of person. So I think it does make the most sense for us to be affiliated with them, and they have shown a lot of support over the last year. Why do you need a lawyer? Hopefully you never need a lawyer, but the reality is that stuff happens to us that is out of our control. Sometimes you're getting in legitimate trouble and you've done something bad. We just want to make sure that everything was handled appropriately and the county isn't coming down on you too hard. You are not entitled to progressive discipline, which is a fancy way of saying you can get fired at any time for any reason. And because we're in the state of Kansas, you don't have a ton of protections. So having a lawyer validate things were handled appropriately is something that is significantly important. That is not the only reason a lawyer exists. If you have a work comp issue, they can also intervene in that. If you have financial issues and you're running into bankruptcy or something, God forbid, they can look at that and help you navigate that stuff. People really focus on the I'm getting in trouble and I need a lawyer, which is a very small subsection of why a lawyer would be utilized. Let's say the county's rolling out a new policy that we don't think is correct. We can send it to the lawyer and have them check it out. Or if you're in a specific situation where you're going, man, this doesn't feel right, it doesn't pass the sniff test, we can send the whole situation to the lawyer. I can meet with you and meet with the lawyer, and they can advise us, yeah, while this isn't fun, this is totally appropriate and legal, or no, this is not right at all. That's why it's important to have access to a lawyer. So you want to join and you want to come to meetings. Well, the good news for you is they happen once a month. We have one monthly meeting, and it is on a rotating schedule. So when I took over, it was like the bylaws were we met every Tuesday or every first Tuesday of the month, and it wasn't fair. It was hard to get people to come to that. So we changed it. You can come, pop in, pop out. They're all digital. We don't have a meeting space. If we get to the point where we need a meeting space, that's something we'll look into. But right now, the all digital is really working for us. So typically the meetings right now are at 7 o'clock at night. We try to avoid family times, holidays, weekends, all of that stuff. We all are already giving up so much time with family that we try to be very sensitive to that. It's a rotating schedule at 7 o'clock at night. How much effort do I really need to put in as a union member? The short answer is as much or as little as you want. I obviously want as much input as possible, so I'm like, oh, everyone should join and come be an active participant and da da da. But the reality is if you just want to be part of the union for whatever reasons that you have, and you only want to talk to me when you have a problem, I'm fine with that. This is your union. However you want it to look is how it looks. If you want to get involved, we will find a place for you. There's always something that needs done. In the last couple of years, we've gone from it. We were on death's door. Like, it was me and Jeremiah trying to figure everything out. And it was an incredible uphill battle, but we're finally getting to the point where we can stop triaging responsibilities and start, making things to where it's like, hey, I have a passion for creating stickers, or I want some funny branding, or anything like that. We're starting to get to the point where we can do that. If that's something you want to get involved with, just talk to me. We will find something for you to do, I promise. So if you want to get involved, here's how you do that. So there's 1,000 things that need to get done with a traditional union. And to be honest with you, we've been triaging these, over the last year and a half, and we're finally starting to get to a place where we can start doing, community outreach, public education, charity work, all the stuff that we really can do to give back to our community. You can contact anybody on the e-board and say, hey, I'd like to be involved. And what that would look like is if you have a passion for a specific thing, then we'll probably take you up on that specific thing. I am not an artistic person, so if you have an eye for artistic shirts or stickers or anything like that, that's awesome. I, however, am a talker and I'm good at public education. So, when we eventually have booths, that's obviously something that we're gonna need several people for, if that's what you like to do and you wanna help out and you have a little bit of free time, that would be incredible. There is a ton of stuff that we could do to further our cause that we just don't have time for because we're still kind of triaging responsibilities. So yeah, if you wanna get involved, just get a hold of one of us and we will find something for you to do, I promise. So you've joined the union, you have a grievance, you want to know how to submit it, and if it's safe to submit it, which is a realistic question. So on our website, there is a grievance tab. Once you're signed in, whether you're a union member or not, meaning you're dues paying or not, because anyone can sign up for our site, you can submit a grievance. And it is 100% safe to submit a grievance. Literally nobody at the county has any access to any of this. Now, I will say there are a different way to handle every complaint. I'm not saying that you will have the perfect resolution for every complaint, but I can say from the second you file a grievance, you are no longer walking that pathway alone. There are certain things that they just have to be reported, right? We would, if your grievance through there is something that has to do with a workplace safety issue or a protected class issue, that is immediately going to the county. That is a place where we cannot play around. And realistically, those grievances should be filed through the county. What we're I had this issue, this doesn't seem right to me, I had this interaction, all of that stuff, that's where we can help you navigate those situations. And, a thing every time they do the county puts out these engagement surveys, I get asked constantly, are they really anonymous? Are they really anonymous? Our stuff, anything that you submit through us it stays with us. We have no responsibility to report it as long as it's not a protected class situation or some sort of safety issue, any of that stuff, like we would work with the county most likely. You know, if you submitted, and this is just a broad example, if you submitted something that you were like, I'm struggling with alcoholism and I need help, we on the union side would start making plans for you to go to the Center for Excellence while also working with county HR to get you the FMLA and benefit time that you needed, right? Like that's the way in which we can work together. That being said, if you have a specific grievance with a specific manager or chief of some sort, depending on what it is, you know, we might recommend that you have a conversation. We might get the lawyer involved. You know, we might try to facilitate a conversation, or we might just go have the conversation for you. You know, a lot of my responsibility is building relationships, and as I continue to build relationships and open up avenues of conversation, I think that's going to help, especially with the new chief coming in. I think that's going to help kind of address these before they get larger than they need to be. So you have filed a grievance and you're wondering where it goes. So the initial place that it goes is to us. Once you file it on the website, it comes to us on the e-board. You know, we all have access to it. We on the e-board, if you don't know, I'm the president. Jeremiah is the vice president, Jeremiah Brown. Devin Connolly is the secretary, and Quinn Eisenhower is our treasurer. So we would all get a notification that you filed a grievance. We could go in and see what it was. From there, it can go 1,000 different directions. So it's kind of hard to say like, this is exactly what happens. The biggest thing is that it gets to us and we can start helping you navigate it. From there, you know, maybe it goes to HR, maybe it goes to the lawyer, maybe it stays right here, maybe it goes to DC, you know, like if someone tells you, you can't join a union and you have that in writing, that complaint is going directly to the DC lawyer. Like that is a First Amendment violation all day long. So that's how we would handle that. If you call or if you file a grievance, and you know, we might need to change the name in the future, but right now it's called a grievance tab. You know, it could be a request for support too of, hey, I'm really struggling with my drinking, or I'm really struggling with burnout, or, you know, my mental health is a problem. Like that situation, two things would happen. I would start working with the International to get you sent to the Center for Excellence to get you the help and care that you need. And I would also be contacting HR to say, hey, we have this member who's we need FMLA paperwork sent to their house. And, you know, we need to start using their benefit time. And that is a way in which we can work together with the county to get you the care that you need. Because I do genuinely believe that the county does care about its employees and wants us to be taken care of. Thanks for watching. You know, we wanted to get something out from the union. We get a lot of questions. You know, I think the most value that we have is having conversations. I would love to have a conversation with every single person and be able to sell the union and why I think it's important and show my passion for it. That being said, it's just not realistic and I can't do it in the time frame that I want to, so this is how we're doing it. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to watch these videos. You know, people are constantly asking what the union does. Hopefully, we've been able to explain a little bit of what the union does. Remember to like this page. Engagement is what builds power. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, I don't know everything. Please contact Jeremiah if you're curious about our socials. I am a 75-year-old man who doesn't understand technology a lot of the time, so if you have a tech question, he would be your person to contact. If you have any questions, contact anybody on the e-board. I'm very easy to find. And yeah, thanks again for checking these out and hope to hear from you soon.